An Amtrak train carrying 7 cars was derailed last night in Philadelphia. And the black box information indicates that the person who was in charge of the train was driving extremely fast. In fact, twice the speed limit. If you look at the pictures, you can see the absolute disaster that this caused. About 7 individuals have been reported dead at this point, and about 200 have suffered from injuries as a result of this derailed train. Now, according to the information, the train hit a sharp curve and failed to slow down. The speed limit on the curve was about 50 miles per hour, while the train was going at least 100 miles per hour. Now, to get even more specific about how fast it was going, reports indicate that it was going as fast as 107 miles per hour, which of course is too fast when it comes to that particular curve. An Associated Press analysis of the crash estimated that the train was moving at about 107 miles per hour.
Okay, so recently on the show we talked about how sometimes it feels like there are too many rules in America. You know, when you come here, especially if you come from a place like Germany or Turkey where there isn't as much of a stringent speed limit, seems like, God, man, you guys can't do this, you can't do that. The cops are constantly watching you. You get a ticket for this and a ticket for that. And is this what you guys call freedom? Then you see a story like this and you go, oh, that's why you need rules. Because you're supposed to take that curve at 50 miles an hour, and if you take it at 107 miles per hour, people are going to die.
Absolutely. And I know that we have an entire political party in this country that's against regulations, but regulations are here to not only make sure that corporations don't screw you over, they're also there to make sure that we're safe. And in this case, there was a very clear regulation that was not followed. And as a result, 7 people have lost their lives. The speed limit is 70 miles per hour, but when it comes to that particular curve, you're supposed to slow down to 50 miles per hour. So even if that curve wasn't an issue here, the engineer in charge was going too fast.
Yeah, now, again, we'll have to look at the black box. That particular information is not completely clear. Could there have been some sort of mechanical breakdown that caused the brakes to not work as well? That's all possible.
So I did look into that a little bit, and based on what's being reported right now, the brakes were working. However, the emergency brakes weren't enough to stop the derailment of the train.
Right. So we don't know 100% yet that they were going for a joyride and just going too fast because they wanted to.
Yeah.
But either way, the train was going too fast, and there's a safe speed and there's an unsafe speed, right? And so, look, the answer isn't simple. The answer isn't regulate everything, rules for every little nook and cranny of our lives. Hey, the train, should do 28 different rules, some of which make sense, some of which don't make sense. Again, recently on a show, we talked about some regulations here in LA that make no sense at all. But we don't live in a black and white world. You've got to use judgment. Some rules make sense and others don't. In this case, clearly the speed limits on trains make sense. They're there for a reason. And when they get violated, unfortunately, this is what happens. So look, not only do we feel terrible, obviously, for the people who were affected and their families, especially the people who were killed. But look, I should care about it just as much no matter what. But it does come home a little bit more for me because I was just on that train 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
I went from D.C. to New York on the Amtrak on that same exact path. And so there, but for the grace of God, goes I. I mean, just separated by 2 weeks. People have families on that train, you know.
Life is just so random. And, we do these stories where people unexpectedly die as a result of something like this. And then it just kind of makes you reflect on your own life and how we do take every day for granted. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And we think we're safe and we think everything's going to be fine. We think we're going to live to like 90 or 100. But you never know. Your life isn't always in your hands.
The people boarding that train had no idea this was going to happen.
Yeah.
And so, look, I err on the other side of this. Every day I stress myself out. Did I live enough? Right? And this is partly why, man. You don't know. I mean, you just have no idea. And there's no way to predict if it's the train you're going to get on, the plane you're going to get on, the daily walk you were going on. Just no way of knowing. Poor Dave Goldberg, the Sheryl Sandberg's husband, goes on a treadmill doing exercise at a resort town. They're on vacation, and boom, he dies, right?
That story really struck a nerve with me because, I mean, here's a man who's tremendously wealthy. He has every resource at his fingertips, and he's on a vacation, he's working out at a resort, and he dies on a treadmill. So I'm not saying these things to freak anyone out, but no amount of money, no amount of wealth, no amount of resources can give you health, can give you everything that you need in order to survive. So life is random sometimes. Don't take things for granted.